Magnus Carlsen, the #1 chess player in the world, is incredibly skilled at the game. He wins most of his matches with complete dominance, leaving his opponents in awe. Sometimes it takes hours for anyone to even stand a chance against him. But let's take a look at some of Magnus's quickest victories where he completely demolished his opponents in no time. In this particular game against Sergei Karkin, a super Grandmaster known for his strength, Magnus showed no fear. Both players had only 3 minutes on their clock, and Magnus wasted no time starting the game by moving his pawn to e4. Sergei responded with e5, and soon the game turned into the Royal Lopez opening, which Magnus knew like the back of his hand. After a few moves, Magnus swiftly developed his knight, clearly knowing what he was doing. Sergei castled his king, and Magnus followed suit, calmly securing his own king's safety. As the game progressed, Magnus launched an attack on Sergei's knight, which provoked a counterattack. Magnus cleverly retreated his piece, making Sergei think for a long time before making his next move. And then it happened. Sergei made a big mistake by moving his pawn to g5. Magnus seized the opportunity and attacked Sergei's bishop by moving his pawn to g4. Sergei should have captured Magnus's bishop, but instead he made another mistake. This marked the beginning of the end for Sergei. Magnus intensified his assault, bringing his pieces closer and closer to Sergei's vulnerable king. Sergei's move of his knight to e6 allowed Magnus to exploit the open file and prepare an attack on Sergei's king. Sergei realized he was in trouble and took his time to consider his options. But Magnus continued to apply pressure, exchanging knights and bishops and eventually bringing his queen into play. Despite Sergei's attempts to fight back, Magnus stayed calm and used his superior tactics to outmaneuver him. Magnus delivered a powerful check with his queen on g6, winning a pawn, and then exchanging rooks. His strategy was flawless. With each move, Magnus tightened his grip, strategically positioning his pieces. Finally, he unleashed the decisive blow, moving his pawn to f6, threatening checkmate after Sergei's queen moved to g7. It was game over for Sergei, and he admitted his defeat knowing that there is no other option left for him. What's remarkable is that even after the whole game, Magnus still had almost 2 minutes left on his clock. He defeated the Super Grandmaster in just around a minute. This incredible display of skill showcases Magnus's ability to make quick and strategic decisions even under intense time pressure. Magnus Carlsen's rapid victory over Sergei Karkin is a shining example of his incredible talent and deep understanding of the game. With his remarkable ability to capitalize on his opponent's mistakes and turn them into resounding triumphs, Magnus's dominance in the world of chess is unquestionable. Now, prepare to witness the extraordinary clash between Magnus Carlsen and fight master Espen Dain. This match was an absolute spectacle, filled with mind-boggling moves. Magnus, as always, displays unparalleled genius, leaving spectators awestruck. With the game set in motion, Magnus began the game by moving his pawn to g3, to which Espen Dain responded with d5. This marked the start of the king's fianchetto opening. Both players swiftly developed their initial pieces, setting the stage for an intense battle. Magnus made a decisive blow, striking at the center by advancing his pawn to e4. The game progressed with further piece development, leading to both players castling and a series of pawn trades. Magnus showcased his aggressive playstyle by playing c4, putting pressure on his opponent to capture the pawn. Interestingly, Espen Dain started tapping the table impatiently with a piece, perhaps feeling the mounting pressure. As the moves unfolded, Magnus strategically brought his knights into the game, aligning them menacingly towards Espen Dain's king. A deadly attack was brewing and the tension mounted. Magnus made a critical move by advancing his pawn to h6 while simultaneously bringing his queen into the game. Espen Dain unfortunately made a grave error by capturing Magnus's knight, opening up an opportunity for Magnus to unleash his rook. Magnus positioned his rook to line up against Espen Dain's vulnerable king, searching for potential checkmate possibilities. In response, Espen Dain moved their king to h8, unaware of the impending danger. This allowed Magnus to seize a free pawn before proceeding to trade the knight and bishop. With each move, Magnus brought his queen closer to Espen Dain's exposed king, tightening his grip on the game. Magnus was now searching for the ultimate decisive move, the killer blow. He skillfully maneuvered his rook to g6, presenting a formidable threat. Espen Dain pondered their options, contemplating defenses. But their subsequent move of the knight to f6 proved ineffective. Magnus seized the opportunity, capturing Espen pawn with his bishop before forcing further trades, resulting in a favorable position. With calculated precision, Magnus delivered a forced checkmate, concluding the game with a resounding victory. Astonishingly, Magnus accomplished this feat in a mere 18 seconds, obliterating the chess master Espen Dain. Magnus Carlsen's rapid and calculated gameplay left no doubt about his exceptional skill. Espen Dain's valiant efforts were no match for Magnus's strategic brilliance. But the next match will amaze you with Magnus' rapid chess skills. Get ready for an incredible showdown as Magnus Carlsen, the world's #1 chess player, takes on Bill Gates, the richest man alive, in an intense chess match. With the white pieces, Bill Gates confidently starts the game with his pawn to e4. Magnus Carlsen wastes no time and responds swiftly, moving his knight to c6. The battle is on, and the tension in the air is palpable. Magnus puts pressure on Gates from the very beginning, strategically positioning his pieces to exploit any weaknesses. He makes a lightning-fast move, playing d5 to increase the pressure on Gates and force him into a crucial decision. Gates, known for his business savvy, ponders his options. Instead of capturing the pawn or allowing it to be captured, he chooses a surprising third option, defending the pawn with his bishop. It's a bold move, but Magnus remains undeterred. Magnus continues his relentless assault, advancing his knight to f6, intensifying the pressure on Gates' pawn. The excitement mounts as the pawns are exchanged, making way for Magnus's queen to enter the fray. His pieces come alive, while Gates seems somewhat stagnant. In a critical moment, Gates attempts to attack Magnus's queen. However, Magnus deftly evades the threat, momentarily puzzling Gates. The chessboard becomes Gates' puzzle, and he struggles to find the best move amidst the complex position. On the other hand, Magnus knows exactly what he's doing. Seizing the opportunity, Magnus strikes back. Gates' poorly judged decision proves to be a grave mistake. Magnus capitalizes on it, playing bishop to g3, creating a double threat on Gates' queen and setting up potential devastating attacks. Magnus's pieces converge around Gates' vulnerable king, foretelling his impending defeat. Sensing the imminent danger, Magnus skillfully maneuvers his knight, sacrificing it to capture Gates' seemingly unprotected bishop. It's a clever trap, and Gates unknowingly falls right into it, sealing his own fate. As Gates captures Magnus's knight, thinking he has outwitted his opponent, the truth becomes clear. The position is completely lost for Gates, and Magnus Carlsen delivers the final blow, a spectacular checkmate with his queen on h2. The room erupts with astonishment and applause. Magnus Carlsen has achieved the unthinkable, defeating the world's richest man in just 9 moves and using less than 12 seconds on the clock. It's a testament to Magnus's incredible talent and lightning-fast thinking, leaving everyone in awe of his brilliance. Once again, Magnus Carlsen proves why he is the undisputed king of chess, captivating us with his unmatched skill and strategic brilliance. Next, we have a remarkable feat on the chessboard. This time, Magnus faces off against Lars Monson, a renowned explorer and formidable chess player. The challenge? Magnus must achieve a checkmate with only a few seconds remaining on his clock. The clock is ticking as Magnus prepares to take on this famous opponent. The game begins with Magnus making his opening move, advancing his pawn to e4. Monson responds with c5, employing the Sicilian defense. As the players develop their starting pieces, Magnus initiates his attack by moving his knight to a strategic square, aiming to create a fork and put pressure on Monson's pieces. A master of tactics, Magnus wastes no time. Magnus's queen enters the fray early on, adding to the intensity of the game. Monson finds himself in a precarious situation, attempting to attack Magnus's queen. However, Magnus deftly retreats his queen, staying one step ahead of his opponent's advances. The tension builds as both players continue to develop their pieces. Monson seeks safety in castling, but Magnus has other plans. He launches a powerful pawn push toward Monson's king, unleashing a ferocious attack. Monson contemplates his moves, knowing that any misstep could be fatal. With careful precision, Magnus brings his knight into the action, trading off knights and capturing Monson's pawn. Monson faces a critical decision. If he takes Magnus's pawn, his king will be exposed to Magnus's rook, spelling trouble. Monson opts for a pawn push instead, but Magnus seizes the opportunity to bring his rook into play, asserting his dominance. Magnus continues to make inroads, capturing another pawn and inching closer to Monson's vulnerable king. Monson's defenses crumble further as Magnus advances his queen, placing it within striking distance of Monson's king. The pressure mounts as the endgame approaches. In a fateful move, Monson places his queen on f7, unaware of the impending disaster. Magnus seizes the opportunity and captures Monson's queen, completely free of charge. It's a stunning queen blunder by Monson, and the game takes a decisive turn. Time becomes a factor, as Monson's clock takes away precious seconds. Magnus takes advantage of Monson's dwindling time, relentlessly surrounding his king and ultimately promoting his pawn to a queen, delivering a checkmate. Monson's time runs out, and Magnus emerges victorious, leaving no doubt that he has outplayed his opponent in a matter of seconds. With mutual respect, the players shake hands, acknowledging Magnus's outstanding display of skill and strategy. In this brave but intense encounter, Magnus Carlsen once again demonstrates his remarkable ability to outmaneuver his opponents, leaving them in awe of his mastery of the game. That's it, guys. These were the top fastest wins of Magnus Carlsen. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more videos.